Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to another episode of the Coach Cody Podcast. It's so hard to believe that it is already mid-March. I feel like yesterday it was just the new year. Then again, January felt like the longest month ever. I feel like January is always feels like a year on its own. And then it's followed by the shortest month, which is February. And so March just kind of always sneaks up on you every year somehow. Like I feel like it should still be February or something. But the good news is spring is springing. The days are longer. We lost, unless you're in Arizona, we lost an hour of sleep this morning. I'm recording this on a Sunday due to daylight savings, which why the hell are we still doing daylight savings? Because I just, it's pointless to me now at this point. Now we're just losing some sleep, which is not fun. But anyways, the days are longer now. So we got a little bit more light. It starts to get rid of the seasonal depression feelings. Just feeling lighter in general. But then again, I am also, doing ketamine treatment. So that could be also part of the depression lift that I am currently sensing, which I guess I could go into a little bit of that. I did do a podcast episode on my experience with doing ketamine or Spravato, the nasal spray that insurance covers that is done in clinic. And so I've done 9 more sessions since the first time I talked about it. So I wanted to kind of go over a little bit of how I'm feeling now. And I will say I'm feeling even better. And I still have treatments to go. I'm not completely out of that depression hole, but like I said before, and this, I feel like it just kind of keeps happening. And each time I have a session, it's like a little bit better. So it just feels like my brain got a hard reset. Someone hit Control-Alt-Delete. Someone held that power button down and just hard reset my brain because I was stuck in this really pessimistic, cynical thought loop that I just could not for the life of me get rid of. And I always kind of joke that I'm a bit of a cynical asshole, but this was just next level. So maybe I'm not as much as a cynical asshole as I thought. I think the cynicism comes from having OCD and just getting tired of my own brain's bullshit and trying to lie to me and, make me anxious for no reason. But maybe I'm more optimistic and positive than I thought, now that I've, felt just how much more cynical and pessimistic I could be in those circumstances. But anyways, things just feel lighter. I feel like I'm coping with things better. Not everything feels as much like I'm climbing a mountain. There's still definitely things, but I'm getting my energy back, and I do still have to use it sparingly. But the thing is that I have some energy. So before I was just drained as hell. Everything felt like I was climbing a mountain. Nothing brought me joy. I feel like I had nothing to look forward to. I felt absolutely hopeless towards everything in life. I felt like I was a shit coach. I felt like I wasn't helping people. And I also felt like my passion, which I'm a really passionate person. And I feel like without that, I am just so fucking lost. And I'm starting to feel that return. And it feels so damn good. Because it is hard without it. But so I'm getting little glimmers of hope and passion and energy and things to look forward to, joy, all those things that were completely absent are slowly but surely starting to return. And it's just been a game changer. And I did TMS before I did ketamine, and it helped a little bit, but it just didn't get me where I needed to go. So I'm very thankful that I was able to do ketamine afterwards. And now I'm starting to feel more like myself again. Still some things to work on. I still need to work through OCD. That's still its own bitch in and of itself. But I feel like I'm in a place where I'm able to kind of start addressing that more. It's really hard to work through OCD when you're feeling depressed because it's like you're trying to do exposures, you're putting yourself in situations that are very uncomfortable and very hard when you're already depressed. So, like, at base level, you're really uncomfortable and everything already feels hard. So, I feel like I'm in a better spot, if I want to do some more exposure therapy or ACT therapy, ACT, whatever. I can go over what those are in another episode, that I just feel more capable of doing so. Also, I'm moving soon. I'm moving in with my girlfriend of 3 years. I have not lived with a partner since I was married, like a long ass time ago. So lots of new things, lots of things to look forward to. So, hey, I feel like life is looking up despite all the bullshit and chaos that's going on around us. Imagine how much better this year could be if it wasn't for that. But I will try not to think about that. But anyways, thankful for ketamine, because if not, this year would already really, really suck. So anyways, moving on. If you want to know any more about the ketamine situation, feel free to leave any questions, comments. I can make whole other episodes devoted to that, or I could do a Q&A style episode on it. I was also thinking of doing a vlog of what an actual session kind of looks like. But yeah, that's also another little indicator the depression kind of is lifting, is I feel like sharing my life more. I feel like vlogging. I haven't done a vlog since the depression hit, because I was just like, what am I sharing? This is depressing as shit. No one wants to watch this. So anyways, yeah, let me know if that's something you'd be interested in, and ask all the questions. I'm an open book. All right. So moving on to today's actual topic, I wanted to talk about why your diet might not be working and how to fix it. So a lot of the times you might get frustrated with results. So say, you're tracking your food, you're eating healthy, you're hitting the gym consistently, but for whatever reason, you're still not losing fat, or, you're still not gaining muscle. So what's going on? What's happening? How do we fix this? So the good news is, most of the time there is a fix, and a pretty simple one at that. Easy, not so much, but simple. Yes. So I'm going to go over some of the most common mistakes that I've seen throughout my 7 years of coaching when it comes to why someone is not seeing results due to diet mistakes. So number one mistake. See this. This is usually the fix that is needed. This is usually the culprit, and that is underestimating calories. So if you're tracking, cool, but that isn't just tracking your food doesn't mean you're going to see results, because you have to be tracking it accurately. That is a step. It is a start to be tracking versus trying to just go at it intuitively, which is really hard to do if you've never tracked your food. That's a whole nother topic on its own. But if you're going to track your food, make sure you are doing it accurately, because humans, we are flawed, and we underestimate the amount of food we eat anywhere between like 5 to 20%. And that adds up. So if you're not seeing results, you might need to check the accuracy of your tracking. And I like to give a scale of 1 to 10. I might ask clients, on a scale of 1 to 10, how accurate do you think you're being with tracking your food? 1 being like, I kind of just eyeball it and then track it, and, maybe not consistently, or I'll weigh some things out, but then I will just kind of eyeball other things. And, basically you're just tracking it, but not paying attention to accuracy at all. That would be 1. 10 would be like, nothing goes into my mouth unless it has already been tracked perfectly. I weigh everything out, absolutely everything. And I never miss anything. So that would be 10. So I asked, like, between scale 1 to 10, where would you place your accuracy? If you can be around like an 8, chances are you're still going to see some progress. So you want to get up to the higher end of the scale. So maybe, you are weighing absolutely everything out. You're entering into your log, and then maybe you have like a few treat meals. Maybe you dined out 1 or 2 times throughout that week and you tried to guess the best you could. That would be more like an 8. So yeah, I know tracking in itself is not fun, and I don't think it's something that everyone needs to do forever, but it's a tool to use when you're starting out so that you get an idea of what a proper serving size might be, so that eventually you can move on and eat more intuitively because you have a better idea of what an actual serving size is. Without that idea, I mean, you can intuitively eat a whole bag of potato chips. And a lot of times, we've intuitively eaten to the point where, we're not happy with our physique or our health because maybe we gained more pounds than we really wanted to there. So before you go thinking you can intuitively eat, it is helpful if you track things first, even if it's for a short period of time, even if it's just 2 weeks. Start with something just so you can get an idea. Also, take note of feeling of avoidance when it comes to tracking. If you find yourself avoiding tracking food because you knew that you overate, or avoiding tracking food because you don't, like, you dined out and you don't know the calories, that's kind of different. But tracking also not only gives you an idea of proper serving sizes, but it helps keep yourself accountable. Or if you have a coach and they look at your food logs, and they're going to be another layer of accountability. But when you're avoiding tracking something because you don't want to see that you went over your calories, that's going to be potentially a problem. So do make sure to audit yourself there. Did you forget to log your food, or were you avoiding logging your food? Because that can also be something that sets you back. Or maybe you ate something off track, but you didn't include it in your food log because you didn't want to mentally, register that you, oh shit, went over calories, and you just kind of wanted to out of sight, out of mind it. Those are things that add up. Other things that add up is if you're cooking and you're just kind of eating as you cook, which as a chef, I will say that's how we do things. You taste as you go, but just be careful that, a taste doesn't become a snack at the kitchen stove, right? So a little bit of taste if needed. But if it's more than that, make sure you're tracking that as well. All the little bites, they can seriously add up depending on how calorie dense the food is. Peanut butter, for one. Like, you can eat a pretty big amount of peanut butter, or like a lot of calories in peanut butter just with one spoonful. So as you can see, things like that add up. So another thing I see is overestimating activity. So thinking that you burned way more calories than you did in a workout. A lot of this happens when we go off of like fitness gadgets, watches. Mine is charging right now, so I don't have mine. But those are highly inaccurate. So let's say your Apple Watch told you burned 800 calories during a workout. But in reality, maybe you only burned like 200. So if you're thinking, oh, I burned 800 calories today, I'm going to have this dessert, no problem. That could potentially stall your progress, most definitely. So I always suggest do not pay attention to the calories burned feature on your watches, because it is basically pointless. So just be careful about that. And I always say there's something else that happens as we adapt. This is part of metabolic adaptation. So as we lose fat, as we weigh less, as we get leaner, our body kind of, it's smart. Back in the day when we were short on food, your body would try to preserve energy by having you move less. I mean, unless there was something you needed a spurt of energy for because you're hunting and you were going to get some food soon. But if your body thinks that you're running short on food, it's going to try to preserve energy, and therefore subconsciously you're going to move less. So that's why it's good to set a step goal to keep your movement throughout the day consistent. And so you're not subconsciously moving less. So if you're like, I'm eating the exact same and I'm not seeing any progress, like it just stopped. When you have a step count, at least you know that your activity is also the same. So just controlling as many variables as you can is going to be important. All right. So the next thing, inconsistent adherence. So this one is usually when the weekends come around, right? Maybe you're perfect during the week. You prepped your food, you ate the way, you logged it all, you stayed on track throughout the week, and you're proud of yourself. And then the weekend hits, and then all shit breaks loose. And before you know it, you're being invited to dinner, or you went out with your friends on Friday night, and you drink and you don't even remember what you ate. And then Saturday morning, you wake up hungover, feeling like shit. Then you go to brunch and you have whatever you can stomach. And then the whole day, you're kind of just eating whatever you can stomach, and you're dehydrated. So that's why like drinking can definitely throw you off track pretty quickly. But even if you don't drink, our weekends don't have as much structure the way that our weekdays do. So the structure that maybe our jobs or et cetera provide is actually really helpful in keeping us on task. But when we don't have that structure on the weekends, we tend to fall apart. So I always suggest try to create some structure through your weekends, plan ahead a little bit, even prep some food for your weekends or have some available so that you have that and you're not tempted to just order out or go out to get something or just like graze all day on snacks and stuff like that. Try to wake up around the same time you do for work, or if you wake up at a god awful time during the week and you want to sleep in a little bit, cool, that's fine. Just make sure you plan for it. Make sure you're still going to get a good high protein breakfast in, and you're going to have some more balanced meals throughout the day. If you're going to be social or dine out in the evenings, then just kind of make some room for it and plan for it, or make it your treat meal for the week. So having some structure on those weekends is going to be really helpful to keep you on track. The other thing that I find is maybe you ate a little too perfect during the week. Maybe you over restricted during the week, and then comes the weekend, you're ravenous and you just want to eat all the things. So that's another thing to watch out for. Make sure you're eating enough throughout the week, throughout the day, so that you don't feel the need to binge on the weekends. All right. That's a lot of times when people say, I'm not eating enough to lose weight. It's not that you're actually not eating enough to lose weight. It's that you're under eating 5 days out of the week, and then you're overeating like throughout the whole weekend. And therefore it just balances out and you don't make progress. So if you eat more on average, your energy levels are going to be higher. You're going to have a lot less want to binge on something. And you're just going to be a lot less miserable if you actually hit the amount of calories to support your activity and all that fun stuff. All right. So chasing fads is also another one that, comes out quite frequently when it comes to things like, carnivore diet or keto. I can recognize that there's, could be some place and time for something like keto. Medically, I know there's some studies that have been out how it can help with some mental health situations and etc. I think also for seizures, but I think it's only been studied in youth. But anyways, you want to make sure you're sticking to a diet plan that's going to be sustainable long-term. And I know this is super fucking cliche to say, but it's not about a diet. It's about a whole ass lifestyle change. And, you will start to get used to, eating a certain amount of foods or a certain kind of foods that you might see as just like, ooh, healthy foods right now. But healthy foods are not healthy foods. It's just food. And eventually you learn to make it taste good. And not only do you learn to make it taste good, it just becomes your norm. And it takes a while to kind of reset your palate, uh, which that's a whole other thing that I will be making a podcast on at some point. It takes about 2 weeks or 14 days to reset your palate. So if you're someone who's used to more processed foods, you have a sweet tooth, you love the sugar, maybe you have a sweet snack or dessert every night, it's going to take a couple of weeks basically of not doing that to reset your palate, and then have other things like fruits taste sweet to you. Because when you're so used to just, you know, eating a lot or having a lot of added sugar and it tastes super sweet, but it's like the more you eat, the less sweet it tastes. So if you've ever taken a break from added sugar just for 14 days, you would be surprised how sweet like fruit tastes to you. That's a challenge for you to try because it's amazing. And hey, it's spring. Pretty soon it's gonna be summer, and it's when it's all the good fruit is coming out. So you should do a nice little palate reset for the summer, and you've got just a whole bunch of good fruit to look forward to. But yeah, fad diets just tend to be too restrictive. They end up being very temporary, and any weight that you lose while you're doing them usually comes right back on and then some, because you just cannot sustain it. So you have to think long term. If you cannot say that you can stick to the diet long term, then you probably shouldn't be doing it. So that's why I always promote, balanced meals, protein, carbs, fats. Just make sure your meals are balanced. Make them taste good. Don't over restrict. Allow yourself to have some treats now and then, but make sure you make it a treat. It's not a treat if it's something that you have like every day, right? So delayed gratification it feels amazing. And I guarantee you your favorite food is going to taste 10 times better if you apply some delayed gratification for it. So just try to think about, okay, I really want this right now, but it's going to taste so much better if I wait a little bit. And then also it's going to help me see some progress. So just some things to think about when you're thinking about diets. I generally say to be careful, about diets that get rid of whole ass food groups. It's like, oh, don't eat, no rice, no beans. That's the whole paleo thing. Or, carnivore, where it's just meat and that's all you're eating. It's like, of course people lose weight on that because it's really hard to just binge steak. But yeah, so if you can't do it forever, it's a fad diet. So another thing I see is not getting in enough protein. Protein is the one that people tend to struggle with the most because, well, we love snack foods here in the US, probably everywhere. It's like most snack foods are comfort foods. And if you're a grazer, you're probably grazing on snack foods that are pretty void of, well, nutrients in general, but definitely pretty void of protein. So if you're finding you're hitting your calorie goals and you're not hitting your protein goals, you want to double check that the majority of your calories are not coming from snack foods, and you want them to be coming from balanced meals. So make sure you start your day off with a good amount of protein in the morning, so you're not chasing that protein goal the rest of the day, and making sure the rest of your meals are balanced. I always say make the foundation of each meal protein and then build off from there. And you can use, the plate method if you need. So it's like 1/2 of your plate is veggies, 1/4 of your plate is protein, and then 1/4 is, your carbs. So it could be like a chicken breast, and then you could have half the plate with broccoli, and then maybe you have a potato with maybe a little butter on it. So that's a good example of what a balanced meal might look like. I always try to, tell people to, you never want to replace meals with things like protein shakes. But if you need to use it as a supplement, maybe you're bulking, maybe you don't have the greatest appetite, but you still need to hit that protein goal, that's where protein powder can come in handy. But it's not something that I would like to see anyone rely on or be their main source of protein. You always want to get as much as of your food from whole foods as you can, because that's where you're getting those vital vitamins and nutrients that your body needs to perform its best. The healthier you are, the better you feel. The better you feel, the better you perform. And then the better you perform, the better results you get. And therefore, the better you're going to look. So do not forget that when it comes to nutrition. Make sure you're being honest with yourself. Audit your tracking. Make sure it is honest. Make sure your activity level is consistent and stays where it's at. Highly recommend making a step goal. And if you don't have like a wearable of any sorts, even an old school pedometer, you can get one of those for pretty cheap. Just put that right on your waistband and it goes a long way. You know, even our phones usually have a little built-in pedometer. But yeah, keep your activity levels consistent. Keep your workouts in the gym consistent. And also make sure you are managing your stress levels, because when you're stressed out, you're bound to not make as great of food choices, or you're not going to be able to be as consistent with your activity and your workouts. So sleep is going to be huge. Make sure you're not doom scrolling too much on social media. Anything that can add to your stress levels will potentially try to derail the other parts of your life. So don't forget to also look at your stress and try not to let that get in the way of things as you go throughout your journey. So mindset. I always try to say, okay, so I know this might have been a lot, but you want to focus on habits over perfection, and just know that, you know, consistent changes, you know, they lead to big results. So I'm not saying you have to be perfect with things. I know it probably sounds that way with the tracking, but basically always just do the best you can do. And that's all you can do. If you know you can do better, do better. You have to be honest with yourself. That's the thing. So make sure you're just keeping yourself accountable along the way. Or, you know, if you have a coach that can keep you accountable, sweet. Then have them keep you accountable as well. Or if you have a friend maybe that you could talk to, any other layer of accountability is going to be helpful for you. But definitely don't get into the all or nothing mindset. Say you genuinely forgot to log your food for a meal or a day, then that's no reason to just throw it all out and be like, I failed. You just get right back on it and you keep moving forward, because eventually, you know, you're going to get it. You're going to see progress and you're going to get closer to your goal. So you always have to think long term, you know, what can I do today, even if it's small, that's going to get me closer to my goals long term. And just knowing this still is going to take time. You got to be patient more than anything. A lot of times too, when you think that something's not working, it's just the expectations were not in the right spot, because you thought things were going to happen a lot quicker than they realistically are. So make sure your expectations are in the right spot. Make sure you're not practicing any avoidance. Make sure things are sustainable, and make sure you're keeping yourself accountable. And that's about what wraps this up. So let me know if any of these hit home for you. Feel free to drop it in the comments, or if you have any other questions, feel free to also drop those in the comments. But also, before I wrap this up, I wanted to encourage you to join the Discord server. It's called The Resistance. It's just a place for anyone who's interested in health and fitness, no matter what, you know, level of intermediate from beginner to intermediate. Doesn't matter your fitness level. Just join for some community and for some support. Anyone in the LGBT community or allies, so you don't have to be LGBT again, you just have to not be an asshole. But I would love to have you in there. And the link to the server will be in the description. And that is it for today. I hope you are having an awesome week. Peace out, and I'll talk to you next time.